It all started with a storm, a fierce storm that rolled in from the seas and across the land. And while it blew, the waters grew colder and higher, and the salmon swam down deep, deep where they couldn't be caught by a clever fisherman. A certain fisherman had fished for a very long time, and he had nothing to show for it. Reluctant to return home empty-handed, he decided to walk along the beach for a ways. After he had gone a distance, he came across a salmon which had been left by the tide. He was very glad, for the fish was nice and fresh, and he was hungry. "Oh, what a nice meal I shall have," he thought. He had been hungry for salmon. But just as he was about to pick it up, he heard a voice. "No, no, don't eat me. I am the chief of all of the salmon. Put me in the water and let me swim again. If you let me go, you will have plenty of salmon." The man really was very hungry, but it just didn't seem right to eat a talking salmon, so he decided to do what it said. And he picked it up, put it back in the water, and watched as it swam off. And then something happened. That storm, which had been raging for so long and so fiercely, the one that had kept the fisherman from catching anything, the storm began to calm. The sea was placid. The man went fishing, and he caught plenty of salmon. The next day, however, the storm picked up again, and it was so bad that the man couldn't catch any fish at all. And so he went to walk along the beach again. When he had come to the place where he had found the salmon, there was another one. A fine, large salmon. His first thought was regret. This was a good-looking salmon. "What a shame that I will have to let it go again," he thought. But he picked it up, and he began to return it to the ocean. The salmon spoke up at once. "Don't let me go," it said. "Take me home with you and prepare me for your supper. But after you've cooked me, be very, very careful. Don't break any of my bones. Take care of all of them, but especially the bones in my head. Take those bones out of my head and place them in a dish. Put the dish of bones under your pillow and sleep on them tonight." The man went home to his wife, bringing the salmon. They had no children, although they had both dearly longed for them. So the salmon was more than enough for the both of them. They prepared it for dinner, and they were very careful, just as the man had been instructed. After dinner, the man put the bones under his pillow, and he went to bed. Around midnight, the man woke up. He had heard a cry. Looking around, he saw that his pillow had changed shapes. He looked under it, and there was two babies, two fine-looking baby boys. The man and his wife rejoiced. The years went by, and the children grew very quickly. One boy was brave, and he was always ready for an adventure. The other boy was content to stay at home. The adventurous boy asked his parents, "Are you the only people who live here?" The father did not want his son to leave them. He told him, "That is all, that is all." But the boy wanted to explore, and so he asked his father to put up some food for him to take. The father refused. the mother worried. And as for his brother was very upset indeed. "Do you know what is out there?" he asked the boy. But the boy was not inclined to listen to his brother's protests. While the boy and his brother were looking for some of the best obsidian, the brother argued, "You don't want to go out there. There are storms that rage for days." The boy insisted. He was not afraid of some bad weather. And besides, they had bad weather here. As his brother slowly chipped away at the obsidian stone, he continued to harangue the boy. He told the boy, "You do not want to go out there. Out there, there are pikes, and there are orcas, and seals, and otters, and many, many other things that are strong with sharp teeth." But the boy was not swayed. He still begged his parents to be allowed to travel. All the while, the brother took the finished obsidian, and he fitted a bit of carving and some leather around one end. And still the brother begged. "There are bears, and there are monsters out there. Don't go. Stay here." But the boy was more determined than ever. His father eventually relented. His parents prepared food for his journey, and his brother, in despair, gave him the obsidian knife that he had been carefully crafting. The boy rejoiced to finally be able to travel. As he traveled, he saw many wondrous things. Presently, he came across an old woman. The woman saw him and said, "My grandson!" And he said, "Oh, grandmother!" "Come in to eat," she said. "Let me feed you." So the boy went in to where the old woman lived, and he watched as she put some herring in a kettle. They watched it cook, and when it was done, she gave it to him, and it tasted very good indeed. As he finished, he saw her looking at him. When he looked up, she said, "I suppose you thought that old woman is starving. I suppose you thought I had nothing to eat." He didn't want to answer because he had been worried about his grandmother. So he asked something which had been bothering him. As he had come to his grandmother's house, he passed through a village where everyone seemed to be worried or sad. So, rather than say something rude, he asked her, "Grandmother, in the village, why is everyone worried or sad?" She answered, "Because of the monster." She went on, "There is a monster out there. It looks like a human being, and yet it's not a human being. It has 7 heads. The monster will eat the chief's daughter, or it'll murder everyone in the village. So the villagers are going to be taking the chief's daughter to the monster." They sat in silence for a while. Finally, they heard a drum, and when they looked out, they saw people going along and dancing, and there, in the midst of them, was the chief's daughter. The villagers were taking the chief's daughter to the monster. The boy watched the procession. In what seemed like a very short time indeed, the boy saw the people return without the girl. He set off at a run. He ran towards the place where he had last seen the girl. And there she was, alone, walking towards the monster, very slowly. She had heard him. She must have, because she turned around, and she saw him. She asked, "Where are you going?" He asked her, "Where are you going?" "My father has given me to the 7-headed monster," she stated. "I am going to him, and he will leave the village alone." "Don't go there," the boy said. "Come back with me." But she wouldn't stop. The girl kept going closer and closer to the monster's den, although she walked slower and slower. They had drawn close enough to the monster's den that he could hear them. The man with the 7 heads looked out of his den. When he saw them, he began to laugh, his deep and dreadful laugh. He shouted with glee, "I thought I was only going to have a girl for dinner, but instead it will be a feast. 1 girl and 1 fat, plump boy." "You will not eat me, and you will not eat this girl," the boy insisted. The monster laughed again. "And who will stop me?" he asked. "I will fight you first." The monster gestured to the white shells that were around his den, and the boy saw that they were not shells indeed, but they were instead pieces of human bone. "Do you see all of these bones?" he asked the boy. When he saw the boy's reaction, he scoffed. "Ha! And you think that you can fight me?" The boy clutched his obsidian knife, and he darted in towards the monster. He slashed and lunged backwards when the monster snapped his giant teeth. The boy darted in again, and lunged, and retreated. The monster's strength couldn't compensate for the speed of the boy's attacks. Soon the black blade and the monster's blood gleamed in the moonlight. With each cut, the monster grew slower and clumsier, and the boy grew quicker and more agile. The boy had cut off 3 of the monster's heads. He felt bad about the unequal contest, and so he suggested a quick break. Both boy and monster sat down for a while, gulping in the cool night air. The girl sat away from the 2, silently watching them. The monster boasted, "I'm strong now, stronger than I have ever been." The boy scoffed. "You may be stronger, but you had 7 heads, and I've cut off 3, and now you only have 4. You might be stronger, but you are still too slow for me." The 2 staggered to their feet and began to fight once more, but even the rest was not enough for the monster. He stumbled and lurched while the boy slashed and stabbed. Soon the boy had cut off the monster's remaining heads, and he was victorious. The boy turned to the chief's daughter and said, "Come with me to my father's house," and she agreed. They traveled together past grandmother's house to the village. There, the boy asked the chief of the village for the consent to marry his daughter. The chief looked at the boy and thought about all he had accomplished. "You are the son of a poor man," the chief said, "and my daughter is courageous and conscientious and worth 1,000 others. But you are also brave and swift and strong, and you saved my people from the monster." And so the chief willingly gave his consent for the boy to marry his daughter. They traveled together all the way back to the shore where the boy's parents lived. The boy's parents rejoiced to see him return. "My son who was lost is back again. I was a man with 2 sons, and then I had 1, and then none. Now my son who went away is home again. I am a fortunate man." The boy and the girl told his father all that had transpired, and the boy's father was very proud of his son indeed. As for the boy's brother, you might be wondering, where is he and what adventures has he had? Well, that's a story for another day.